Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video, just on DCTV, I guess, because this is going to be my review for Gotham Knights, or Gotham Knights, depending on how you pronounce it. This is obviously a review for the pilot, but this is just going to be my overall first impressions of the show. So it's going to be in a bit of a different format than I normally would on a normal review when we're talking about, like, on episode 4 of Superman Lois season 1 or something like that. It's going to be very like first impressions, talking about the good, the bad, overall thoughts, all that stuff. But of course, we will touch on spoilers. So if you've not watched the episode and you do care, go away, come back to this video later on when you've watched the episode and you want to see what I thought. And I've just realized, based off the time of the day in Australia and everything, I feel like I've got like a bit of a Gotham filter on myself at the moment. So yeah, a bit weird. But of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Gotham Knights. What would you give it out of 10? What were your pros for it? What were your cons or your good and bad section? Very curious to hear what people have to say and whether you will, more importantly, continue watching, because that's a big thing. A pilot episode has to sort of sell you the show and go, hey, this is our show. You're going to continue watching. Here's the hook, everything like that. And this show, you know, Gotham Knights has a decent hook. I don't think it's an amazing hook. It's just a decent one. And I think it's more for like comic fans. That's probably the biggest issue. Because I don't think they properly explain it. Though it's also not its job to explain it straight away, but I don't think they would hook any general audience. I think it's more comic fans that they'd really be appeasing to with the hook and everything like that. But let me know. Are you going to continue? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you want to show your support, want to drop a like on the video, helps out any way you can. Now, my initial thoughts going into this episode before I watched it is that I wasn't expecting much, but I also did not think it was going to be anywhere near as bad as what people were saying. Everyone was like, oh my God, it's going to be the worst show ever, everything like that. It was, I don't know how you could think that. It clearly wasn't going to be. We have Inhumans. Inhumans from Marvel exists. That's like terrible. And then I'm sure there's some other DC TV show, I don't know, probably something from the past. There's probably something that got like one season, maybe didn't even get to finish its first season because it was so bad. I'm sure there's something like that there. Gotham Knights was never going to be as bad as that because they really get to play in the Gotham playground, and there's things you can do there which are going to make people happy regardless, even if the quality isn't up there. So it was never going to fall down as low as people thought it was going to be. It was just really where it landed. Where did it stick? What rating out of 10? Everything like that. So going into it, I was like, you know what? If it's a 6 out of 10, I'd be fine. And to be honest, I'd probably give it like a, I'll say it at the end, but I think it might go a tiny bit above that, but not by a ridiculous amount. Now, as I said, I am going to break this into the good stuff and then the bad stuff. We'll talk about the good stuff first and then the bad stuff. And these are it's not everything. It's not breaking down each individual element into good or bad. It's just the stuff that stood out as good, in my opinion, and stuff that stood out as bad. That's just the way I'm going to do it. We will talk about it more on Twitch. Probably tomorrow when you're watching this video, and we'll talk about Superman, Lois, and Flash as well. A bigger DCTV discussion thing on Twitch. But yeah, we can talk about more specifics there. But for the moment, I just want to focus on the stuff that I'd fully put into good and stuff I'd fully put into bad, if that makes sense. So the first one that actually stood out in like every single scene that this person was in, I was like, they're doing that. They are the star of this scene. Like they're the one carrying it. They're the one that stands out the most. And I think consistently throughout the episode, I was like, this is a pretty good character. And I found her pretty enjoyable, and that was Duella Dent, or Joker's daughter. Now, some people wouldn't have liked her, but she also has a connection, like a more raw connection, if you want to put it, to the villainous side, because she knew exactly what was going on. Now, you could argue like that probably the hero side of that is probably going to be Carrie Kelly, who we'll touch upon. But Duella Dent really seems ingrained in that villainous side, and I think will be a very important character once we start jumping into the court of our story more deeply and more, focused on that, and even some side characters that might show up. She might know some stuff, about them, and even Batman's past as well. So that's obviously like foreseeing into the future, potentially just assuming what's going to happen. But from what we saw, I think every single scene she was in, I was like, okay, she's the one that actually seems interesting here. So in that initial group where it was her and Harper and Cullen Rowe, I was like, well, nothing against Harper and Cullen Rowe, but they just aren't that interesting compared to what Duella is. And maybe it's because Harper and Cullen Rowe weren't that interesting that Duella seemed much more interesting than she maybe actually is, but she just stood out as the best character in that bunch whenever they were doing scenes together. And then when Turner Hayes went in there, she was still the best character. Why would that fucking go to sleep? Now, I did mention Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly was sort of like, I guess, the heroic version of Duella Dent, if you want to put it, where Carrie Kelly actually has connections to someone like Bruce Wayne and everything, or Batman more specifically. Now, we only get a tiny bit of her in this episode. Like, there's a lot of Duella, there's a lot of Turner Hayes, a lot of Harper and Cullen Rowe, even a decent amount of Stephanie Brown. But Carrie Kelly's in three portions, maybe like 4 scenes, like a bit of the party, a bit of the funeral, and then like the later portion. So I'm interested to see what she knows and what she can introduce and any intel she can provide, because, you know, she worked with Batman, so she should know some stuff about the villainous side and more maybe personal things about Bruce, at least that sort of cross over into the Batman side as well. So I am interested to get like more time with her, though there's just not a lot there at the moment. So it's a wait and see until we get into the episode 2 and stuff like that. So I guess I'm assuming what's going to be coming our way. Now, I did put this guy into the okay or the good section because I'm just assuming he's going to be good. And that's Harvey Dent. Now, Harvey Dent is just okay in this pilot. Nothing amazing. But there is like some Two-Face stuff that he does wear, and we're led to believe that he does become Two-Face by the end of this season. So he was okay. He wasn't amazing, but he definitely wasn't bad. He was probably, if like Duella and Carrie Kelly were there for That's Good, he was probably there slowly moving his way there. So I think we just have to spend more time with him and maybe even interacting with some other characters and stuff like that. I'm interested to see where his story goes, but at the moment he's just okay. But I'm assuming that he'll be good once we get into like episode 2, 3, 4, everything like that. But yeah, just didn't reach that good mark yet. That's the wait and see. And the last thing to put in the good section is just the mystery. Now, the mystery is interesting enough, though it's only on like a basic level at this point. So they introduced the Court of Owls, and, you know, we do see talent at the end of the episode, and there's just a lot of conspiracies around the Court of Owls and what they're doing and why they would be doing what they've done throughout this episode with killing Bruce Wayne. Like, why specifically have they done that? Who is a member of the Court of Owls? Like, is it going to be anyone that's in power? Like, that's the interesting thing. So the mystery is still there, and they might try and double cross you because they make you think at the end of this episode that the butler that worked for Bruce Wayne, I guess you could say, or was at Wayne Manor, is a member of the Court of Owls. But then the cop that got killed was a member of the Court of Owls, but he got his head chopped off in a very graphic scene for network TV. I guess it's because it's later in the day, but he gets fully decapitated with blood and everything, which surprised me. Like, that's something you'd expect on a streaming show. But like, is Harvey Dent a member of the Court of Owls? Like, that scene in the car would make you think so. So I think that's going to be a big question heading into the later episodes in the season when you meet certain characters. Like, are they a member of the Court of Owls or are they not? And if not, are they going to be targets? But even then, I guess if you're a member of the Court of Owls, you can still be killed because we saw that cop get killed. So yeah, the mystery there is pretty interesting. Though, as I said, it's only on like a basic level at this very moment. So we have to let it like marinate over the next couple of episodes. But now let's get into the bad. And I do have more points for bad. Actually, no, I got the exact same amount of points for bad than I do good, because I only thought these things were the stuff that I thought were pretty damn bad that stood out to me consistently throughout the episode. You might have more, you might have less. I think a lot of the stuff that doesn't fall in this and didn't fall in good is just in the mid area. So yeah, this is the bad stuff in my opinion. The first thing is Bruce Wayne. We needed Bruce Wayne to actually feature a decent amount early on in this episode and then kill him to push the mystery. Unless like learning more about Bruce widens the story as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the show, then having him only in 2 scenes where his face is covered partially in both of those scenes doesn't really make you, most importantly, care that he died, let alone want to find his killer. Like, the thing is, especially when Turner Hayes is the one that's been, you know, pointed at as like the, you know, the person connected to Bruce that's doing this, and he comes along next in regards to what we talk about, it doesn't really make you care enough. So I know like they obviously probably weren't allowed to use Bruce Wayne. Like, that's the like elephant in the room, or not the elephant in the room, whichever it is, whichever way you want to put it. But I think if you want to use this concept, you had to make us understand this Bruce Wayne in some way, shape or form. Then he dies. I think the way that they did it sort of affects the pacing of this episode as well, because I think in a normal show, if you were allowed to use Bruce Wayne, you would use him for like 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then you'd kill him. And then you'd have pretty much whatever this episode was play out in the rest of that 20, 25 minutes. But because he's killed in like the first, minute and a half or whatever it is, it's spread out so much, and it does affect the pacing. So the Bruce Wayne side of it does fall a bit flat. I know there was like things about the cowl and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not the best looking cowl, which is funny because the Batcave looks really sick. A lot of the weaponry, the Batmobile looked cool. I know it was like a VFX Batmobile, but it still looked cool. So a lot of the other effects there were like the Batman stuff looked really, really good. Just the cowl looked arse. So I don't know, it just needed that. I think it really affected the pacing and flow of the episode, not having a proper Bruce Wayne effect on the story and like a proper Bruce Wayne planted within the story. So that was an issue there that stood out like a thumb at the beginning, and it grinded me a bit more and more as I went through the episode. But this goes to the next point. Turner Hayes, he is the lead of the show. He's Bruce Wayne's adopted son. like we've had with other Robins, but he's not a Robin, and he's not a very good lead so far. This sort of goes into the Harvey Dent thing as well, which I forgot to mention, how Harvey Dent is like only okay, but I still put him into the good section. It's very important to remember this is a pilot episode. So this filmed, well, like March or April of last year, and then they would have gone back to film the rest of the season like in September or maybe like late August or something. So there's about like a 4 or 5 month break between filming the pilot and then starting episode 2 and going on with the rest of the season. So there is a chance, both with Harvey Dent, that he gets better throughout those 4 to 5 months and gets more comfortable with the role. And same with Turner Hayes. The actor seems pretty new. The guy that's playing Turner Hayes doesn't have many Twitter followers, so I'm assuming he's a pretty new actor, at least in regards to, you know, being a lead in something. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I have to put him in the bad section just because I thought he was not a very good lead at all. But fingers crossed, for the sake of Turner Hayes as a character, the show as a whole, and just the actor as well, that it improves from episode 1 to 2 because of that time in between. So fingers crossed that happens, but it was not very good. Not very good at all in this first episode. Because a show can really be only as good as its lead allows it to be. And you see that, you've seen that in the past with other stuff as well, but you know, especially even though this is like an ensemble show, he is still the lead and he has to be good. And unfortunately in this first episode he wasn't, but as I said, fingers crossed that improves going forward. The third thing, the dialogue. Now, I've said this in videos where I've talked about Gotham Knights or streams when people have asked me about what I thought about going into it. My main worry, if not my only worry based off stuff I saw in the trailer, was the dialogue. I was hoping I was going to be wrong because I'm a big dialogue guy. I always find it weird when stuff doesn't feel natural or like it feels like very expositional, but like in a very weird way. Or some would say cringy, but like, I don't know. The dialogue wasn't very good. The dialogue was not very good. I don't want to jump into specifics of it because I know I've seen some stuff online. They mentioned some stuff about like minority groups and stuff like that, which I saw people picking apart. And like you could argue that, but that just folds into the dialogue thing as a whole. Like everything doesn't feel like it feels like a first draft. Like that's probably the best way to put it. It feels like it hasn't gone through a proper editing process when they've gone to film it. It feels like, oh crap, we're rushing this, quickly write shit down. Like that's what it feels like. And I don't know, the dialogue just didn't feel great. I'd love to read the teleplay for this. Cause yeah, I don't know. Because it wasn't the acting either. Like that's why it wasn't just like, oh, it seems like it's bad because it's being acted bad. I don't think anyone was really a terrible actor in this pilot. It's just that the dialogue was not very good at all. It was actually sort of hard to listen to at times. But fingers crossed, it improves. They had more time to write episode 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 because of that bigger gap. So hopefully it improves from this point forward. And my last point, that's sort of in the bad category because in some parts it didn't look too bad. And then at some, I felt very disconnected. And that was Gotham. It doesn't feel like Gotham like 70% of the time. And some of the times when they show like this is meant to be Gotham, it's on like a news clip. It's not us in there with the characters. It feels sort of dead. And Gotham should be like this scary place that is alive, but also dead at the same time. It makes sense. Like it feels like it's like just covered in darkness, but you feel unsafe in there. And that didn't feel like it. It felt like it was very upper class and like it felt like what's the way to put it? It felt like you were just going to like some like Skid Row area or something, and that was just one area of Gotham and the rest was fine. So it didn't feel like Gotham very much. Now, the thing I'm very curious about heading into episode 2 is that they filmed the pilot for this in Toronto. Also, GCPD looked exactly like the Titans GCPD. Titans filmed in Toronto, so I'm not too sure if that's why it was. They used the same filming location. I don't know. And also, Bruce Wayne's office looked exactly like Batwoman's Bruce Wayne office as well. Side notes there. But anyway, they moved the show to Atlanta for episode 2 onwards. So I don't know if how that's going to change the show in regards to how it looks and stuff like that. That's a wait and see. But I'm very curious about that because, yeah, I mean, just didn't feel like Gotham. Like that's probably the most simple way to put it. Just did not feel like Gotham. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's how I thought about Gotham Knights. I think it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It was probably like a 6 to 6.5. Some of the stuff that I've seen people, there was only one piece of VFX that stood out, and that was the opening shot. It just looks really bad, but I don't know if that was maybe my TV playing up the quality there, because everything else looked sort of fine visually. The visuals actually looked pretty good. Just looked like a standard network TV show, so there was nothing really there to pick apart. But yeah, like I think it's one of those shows because I've seen people say that they liked it a lot, like they give it like an 8. Some people say they hate it and they give it a 4. But I don't know if that's people just wanting to pick it apart. I think it's one of those shows you have to watch for yourself and see how you like it. I didn't spoil everything in this review. I just, talked about the major points that were worth talking about that would have included spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, you may as well go watch it if you have some free time. Make up your own mind, see what you think. You might like it. As I said, it seems to be a very mixed show in regards to responses. So definitely give it a go if you need to. But for me, I'll probably continue watching it for the next 3 to 4 episodes just to see how the mystery goes. If the mystery starts to fall off and be obviously just not very interesting, I'll drop it. But I'm probably not going to do any more reviews on it. But I will talk about it on Twitch streams on Thursday night in American time or Friday my time. So, yeah, keep your eyes out for those where we'll talk about all the DC shows throughout the week, which include Gotham Knights. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think of Gotham? What did you think of Gotham Knights? Love it, hate it, and it's someone in between, let me know. And, of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.